Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have an excellent positional game to share with you. This was played in 1946, an under-18 championship. On the white end, 17-year-old Tigran Petrosian playing against Victor Korchnoi, who is just shy of his 15th birthday. We have a d-pawn based opening, Dutch defense. White goes for the fianchetto, and here we are, Dutch Stonewall formation. Black has a nice grip over the e4 square, at the cost of weakening the e5 square. This is a hole in Black's camp. Castles, bishop d6. This is the most efficient defender of e5. c4, met with c6. Capturing here should not even be a thought here for Black. White can easily get that pawn back. Knight b to d2, for instance. And how you hanging on to it? Black would be playing in an inconsistent way with this capture on c4. There's no longer as big a grip over e4. I'll put on a few more moves to show you just how bad this can turn out if Black wants to hang on to the pawn. Knight e5, block the diagonal, there we go. One of the moves you would really not want to see happen. Playing the Dutch Stonewall e4. e4 can now be played, and Black is getting blasted. Even queen h5 check is now right around the corner. Okay, no capture on c4. c6, the center is simply reinforced. In cases of c5 also, the bishop now can fall back to c7. And now we follow up with b3. Let me throw this position too as a pop quiz. How would you continue here? What's your next move? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, Black continues with castles. That's not the best move. The best move is queen to e7. Queen e7 puts up a fight against this idea to exchange bad bishop for good bishop by way of bishop a3. With castles instead, White can exchange dark square bishops free of charge, let's say. Now, if Black plays queen e7 here, it's true White can still get a dark square bishop exchange in there with a little more work by first playing a4. Now the rook helps out supporting bishop a3. But in this situation, Black can respond with a5. And now when you get this dark square bishop exchange in, let's just pause here and assess the structure in this case and a weakness that is now present on White's queenside. b4 is a hole with the inclusion of a4 and a5. Also, White has some pawns now, a pawn, and sort of a half a pawn, fixed on a light square, which is not ideal playing with this light square bishop. This guy may one day target these two pawns now. Nearby, maybe Black can focus on the b4 square with the knight. In this game, again, it's castles and the dark square bishop exchange occurs without these potential issues for White. In this situation, there's no hole on b4 and no White pawns fixed on light squares. Okay, Black continues here with a queen transfer to the king side. Computer is not a fan of this. There really is not going to be an attack against the White king playing in this way. What does the computer want to play here? This is one of the better options setup-wise for Black. It likes this idea for Black. This queen knight is maneuvering into the weakened e5 square here. It wants to change the structure playing as Black with the capture on c4 and then position a pawn on a dark square, c5 here, with the idea b6, bishop b7. Korchnoi let's say, plays within the structure, keeps these pawns sitting on light squares, pivots about with pieces. Queen e8, knight c2. Now that there's no dark square bishop around, focusing both knights on the e5 square will be ideal. What's in the future for white, what might be possible here, are superior minor piece positions now. We can very easily have a strong white knight on e5 versus a light square bishop, or maybe even a good versus bad bishop type position. Okay, from here it's queen h5, queen c1, controlling this diagonal, maybe a possible queen exchange through g5, maybe queen f4. She is also staying clear of knight e4 with tempo. So this is a reason to not step on d2 so soon. Knight e4. Queen doesn't have to react in this case. The queen knight can continue on its way to the e5 square. So this is really ideal. Follow up, knight d7. And pop quiz here, which knight would you move to e5? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, the best knight is knight f. Why? Couple things to chew on here. The bishop's eyes are opened, and now the f pawn can move, driving the knight away from the e4 square. All right, from here, it's king to h8. If black tries to be greedy here, capturing on e2, this will not end well. White could always follow up with a capture on e4, and then g5 with check. How bad would this position be for black? It's suggesting now, get rid of the knight. If you move the queen instead, let's say to d2, you would lose the queen, check, and she's a goner. And some other square, well, look at this. Black's now going to be giving checkmate. The knights control these four. We're looking at queen g7 mate soon enough. You think this is defending? It's not. That'd be a pretty mate. Okay. There's a piece that black is missing here, big time. The dark square bishop. Look at these pieces having a field day on this color complex. Okay. No queen takes e2 here. It's king h8. The knight is driven back. And here's how you know the Dutch Stonewall has been broken: when you can play e4 successfully. e4 played right here. White is winning, has been winning. In this game, it's knight f7, trying to compete, trying to get rid of this strong e5 knight. An alternative, if black captures on e4, we simply recapture. Rook takes rook here, we're recapturing with the queen. And let's say knight takes e4, just to make it simple looking. Here's how you can continue. And here we are. Superior minor piece position. This is winning for white. Very difficult now to even address this threat on the bishop. Any bishop move will lose the rook. Again, if you exchange rooks on f1, you'd be inviting the queen into f6. And if you have to play like this to babysit the bishop, give up control of this file, there we go, rook on the 7th rank. That's not no ordinary rook. That's not a 5-pointer at this point, to be sure. Putting on a couple more moves, if we really need to. You could always look to enter on the dark squares like this. Okay, superior minor piece position. Winning for white. All right, in this game, no capture on e4. Knight f7, c takes d, knight takes knight, pawn takes knight. Nice move. Don't exchange both knights. This guy is far better than this guy here, so let's keep them on. Pawn takes knight. C takes D. E takes D. It doesn't really matter in which direction you take here, but I think in general it may have been better to influence the pawn duo. Capturing in this direction, it's not going to matter in this game. We're just having recaptures in both cases. But with this capture here, there is maybe an opportunity for black to change the structure somewhat, playing f4. Somewhat disruptive, still winning for white. In any case, we have in this game the capture on d5. E takes d, and now f4. A connected passed pawn, and also a target now on d5. Follow-up in this game is rook to d8. If pawn captures pawn here, we would be recapturing with the knight, improving this piece with tempo. It's true, this may be tempting to maintain a connected passed pawn, but at the same time, you'd be opening up a file for the black rook. Can easily get there. King's going to have to take a step like this. Better to recapture in the event of g takes f4, better to recapture with the knight and say that this pawn is still sort of connected with a piece. A knight on f4, unassailable, supporting a pawn on e6. This is excellent for white. All right, in this game, no capture on f4. Rook d8. Queen now enters. And what do? Well, try to complete development. If rook d7 here, where's this bishop going now? You could always play queen c5. You're even threatening a checkmate in 1 now. Okay, no rook d7 here, b6. Follow up, pawn takes g5, bishop a6, knight f4 hitting the queen, and this one goes no further. Black resigns. What are you supposed to do here? If queen takes pawn, the knight hangs. This isn't the only path forward for white, but certainly an appealing one. Taking the two minor pieces, these guys definitely outweigh the rook. Another path would be to say, okay, let me just get out of the line of fire and in the end claim everything is better for me here. Every one of my pieces is better. What are you doing now as black? Against this threat, against that threat, with a fork, or even to swipe this pawn. A dumb bishop here on a6. Not a contributor at all. Okay, we don't go that far in this game. It is simply resignation after knight to f4. No tactics in this game. Purely positional play. Ends the game. 23 moves. What did you think of this one? Anyhow, feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.